This is a unusual class, and it could be taught on a lot of different levels. The embrace your imperfections, and I found a really interesting word. Maybe you've seen or heard it. The flossom. It's a hybrid of flaws and awesome. So finding your awesomeness in your flaws. So we could do a challenging yoga class in that way and really expose our flexibility flaws. But there are so many different ways in which we can flaw ourselves. So it would be interesting to see what comes out from the class. So yes, there will be some challenging poses, but some of the challenging poses is going to be holding and listening to your mind. And so with that understanding, I'd like to begin in just a very traditional seated pose, easy cross-leg pose. And I have my right shin in front because we'll be switching that around a bit. I'm just coming into easy meditation in your easy pose, and feel free to change it up if you want to do straight legs or sit in a chair. So this moment of softening the eyes, closing the eyes, one of those two, and scanning your body, scanning how your what your makeup is here on your mat, what kind of day you've had, what you're bringing. If you're watching this in the morning, perhaps even expectations of your day, expectations of your evening. Before we start talking about flaws or exposing ourselves from flaws, so let's spend a few minutes, or let's say 1 minute, a minute to calming down. If you notice your space is not quite calm enough, make those adjustments to the lighting. Perhaps closing off some doorways, some external noise that you may not have been aware of. And let's celebrate the flossomeness of meditation itself. A lot of people believe that they're not meditators, that there's something wrong with them, that they can't sit still. And it's very common, even for seasoned meditators. And I'd like to think that over the years, seasonedness has come into my. So I'm a seasoned yogi, and it's still restlessness or in a hurry. So another minute to sit here, quieting whatever is shouting in your mind or in the body. Perhaps there's a part of your body that's achy. It's shouting its experience at you. And just this last 30 seconds, pulling your spine long up, lifting up, using your bandhas. So the pelvic floor, the navel bandha, the uddiyana, and the mula. Nice long spine. And then as you raise your arms up on your next inhale, folding completely forward right here towards the floor. Inhaling to lengthen out, and exhale to let go. And we're going to spend this time folding over
Maybe you've got an inventory of flaws. Maybe your flaws are more on a physical level. But I also have to ask, which flaw came first, the chicken or the egg? And, especially as women, you know, there's the tug of war between what is actually a flaw for some women and not. So, but let's not go there. Let's go with what is. Your physical quality. We want to love and send healing thoughts, kindness to physical flaws. Maybe it's something more on aesthetics. Staying low, walking your arms over to one side of your mat. Breathing into the waist and the side body for a few breaths to lengthen out. Breathing in acceptance and kindness towards yourself. For this body. So physical flaws, let's just stay with physical flaws, staying over to the other side. Imagine ourselves like a child. There's never a conversation about flaws in kindergarten. Maybe there are, but when you're new, when you're just growing into your body, there are no flaws at that stage, and that is supposed to continue. Walking your hands back to center, and just these last 5 breaths, folding all the way forward. I'm going to honor this body with acceptance, kindness. And then beginning to open back to center, opening the legs into that butterfly, feet together. We can begin to open up the knees and folding forward. The feet open like a prayer book here, so allow your soles of your feet to shine. You can massage into the arch of your foot, squeezing your toes a few times here as well. Loving your flaws, finding inspiration from your physical flaws. Perhaps a lot of you are well into your age, so you know, whatever might have bothered you so much as a young person, you realize, right, as we get older, it's like, okay, that wasn't so bad. Because as you get older, things change even more. So decade to decade, a renewal of love of your flaws, right? Age is not acceptable. Physical aging is not acceptable in modern societies and society and culture that I know. It's not true around the world. I'm always in awe of those cultures that deeply respect elders. Very much not happening so much. gradually start to come back from the bound angle, and we're going to take the left shin in front of the right. So we were right shin front, so we're back to a cross leg here. Bringing the arms up, placing your right hand on your left knee, and we're going into a twist so you can hold on to the knee. Back arm is strong like a pillar, supporting or giving that sense of supporting the spine, lowering the shoulders and lifting the chest. Breathe and twist here. Let's do 5 more breaths. It's the exhale that twists you to look further over your shoulder. Pulling on that opposite knee. Belly button squeezing back to side. Keeping that right hand on the left knee or whichever direction you are. And we're going to take that free arm, which in this case is the left arm, to laterally bend and sinking that direction. And then releasing back to center. And we'll take the arms back up, releasing any tension, and then hand to the opposite knee, so the left hand to the right knee, and strong like a pillar, that right arm behind you. Exhale to twist and look all the way over that shoulder. Applying acceptance and loving kindness to the body. Whatever generation you find yourself in, whatever decade of your life, there are new flaws to be found. There are new flaws that that generation may or may not have told you about, whether it be your health should be at this level, your beauty, your abilities. Twisting at that navel center, so pump the belly button, exhaling all the way out, really squeeze it back. Kind of be a little complacent right here, but actively twisting, actively supporting and loving the body. So loving yourself for those flaws is not a natural act, it has to be practiced. Let's come from the twist, keep holding that knee, and we'll take a side bend up and over. This can be an intense stretch right here, so allow your ribs to peel apart some space. Great for breathing, will allow that to rest and relax. Let your arms relax and take the rebound sensation here. In fact, as we do that, placing one hand over the other over the heart center. Bringing in a sense of love. I'm going to say love for self. And if you're at the stage where it's a tender place, there's not much love, or if this is challenging to love your flaws and to feel awesome in your flaws, having the energy of willingness to love yourself, willingness to accept and love, seeing past that beginning of energy here.
So coming over, we're gonna go right into pigeon poses for the hips. So having some props to help you with relaxing into it, flexing that front foot. I have the right shin forward, left leg is gonna go all the way back, and before you nestle in, come up high on your hands, extending the chest forward, so puffing up the chest, and there's a nice lumbar curve that will be requested of you if you have the ability to just hang out here for a couple of breaths, rocking side to side, left to right hip, and open any space to melt the left thigh more to the mat, opening the extensor there. And then folding. So one of the most powerful and one of the beginning new age, I guess you could also say in the self-help, self-discovery, rediscovery genre of books is Louise Hay, Louise Hay. And loving yourself, she was a pioneer in doing workshops and wrote lots of books on how to love yourself, understanding that we are beings that are affected by the love we give or not, and that we can have better, more thriving lives, actively loving ourselves. She has a lot of interesting workings with mirror work and writing, journaling, writing love letters to yourself. Finding the love in the flaws. That is embracing imperfections. This will be our final minute here. Finding your deepest pigeon pose. And if you are someone who's naturally all the way to the ground, you can do a couple of things. You can interlace your hands behind your back. Just allow the whole upper body to let go. You can also thread one arm in front of the body towards the opposite side. Whichever arm, actually, both arms can work for here.
30 seconds, embracing all of the sensations which could be confused with flaw right now, these sensations of discomfort, inability to relax into your body, loving this sensation. If you're doing it right, there's discomfort on a serious level. We're going to stay in the pigeon and rise up for royal pigeon or king pigeon.
So as you come up from there, bending that back knee, which is the left foot, and first bringing the leg in. So happy to you for your thigh muscle here, so quad stretch. And then flexing that foot, push that foot away from you as you hold the leg in. And you might get a little balance here. Open hips, of course, will help. And just a little bit of a fun part. If you can bring your foot all the way into your elbow crease, fun times. Now you have a little bit more balance in a different way. That leg is not supporting you so much. And there is the bow. Just depends on your back bending and your hips open. So staying right here, a little extra. We're going to reach around with the opposite hand for that back foot. So now it's the opposite foot, opposite hand. Pushing the leg away, other hand lifts, and some of you may be able to grab the foot with both shoulders. We've done some shoulder opening lately, so it may be available to you. So variations of king pigeon, and option to go into down dog for the release, or tabletop, and just stretch out the legs. Feels nice to have an inversion, so let's go into that. Understanding that we're seeing the world from a different view, quite frankly, upside down. And all the fleshy bits and wiggly bits are dropping in different ways, possibly. Your face, I know my face is dropping in the other direction with gravity. I find humor is also powerful when confronting flaws. And we'll come down to the knees. Just a little child's pose to recover. And when you're ready, we'll go into pigeon pose on the other side. I'm going to switch around here. So left shin, top of the mat. And before your pigeon becomes a swan or sleeping swan, I've heard them called interchangeably, take your time to nestle in, reaching that top of the right thigh to the mat, extending here. This is a nice arching in the back. Side to side, equal weighting, and flexing the front foot here. Lifting the chest. And then from there, we'll go into the recline.
seeking space, seeking to discover an area where you can improve, some flexibility here. So finding our uniqueness in yoga poses, so everybody's movement and some flexibilities. We find our own unique pigeon, although they all kind of look alike. Everybody's pigeon is going to pull and tug in different ways. So celebrating the individuality, the yoga practice of the ways in which everybody's made so differently. And to say that humans are flawed in one sense is to say that trees are flawed, and yet there's no real definition of a flaw in a tree so much, I guess, unless it was not growing in that way, genetic flaw, but being accepting, having a loving, accepting quality, softening. So already in the final minute here, so if you would like to thread one arm underneath you, you can take one arm either side. I'm going to take both arms behind the back and release all inhibitions right here. It's just this last 45 seconds now. The pigeon. Radical acceptance wherever you are here right now. As you rise up, staying in your front pigeon, we're going to go into king pigeon, or like royal, because I'm not a king, I'd be a queen, but royal, yes. So start to draw in. Let's get quadricep opening. This is also to open up the shoulder. So once you've pulled in for a little while, then pull out and find a little balance going on. Something fun to try and have a little fun. And then once you start getting a little more open in the area of the quads, you might be able to get those toes into the elbow crease. And you can hang out there pulling the leg further in, and it's a different type of balance. And if you want to go into, gosh, I forgot what this one's called, but here we go, king pigeon here. Let's reach around with the opposite hand. So twist around there, and in this one you want to pull that leg away from you. I guess you could pull it in, it doesn't always feel so great. And maybe both hands, if you're lucky today, right? So both arms open the chest. And then down dog or tabletop stretch out right here. Viewing the world from a different vantage point. Equilateral triangle of the down dog. back to knees, a little bit into a child's pose.
So coming onto your seat, and I'm going to do the couple of leg series from the Ashtanga. So each of these will be 5 breaths. We're going to go through them. First is the right heel into the groin, the right knee is out, left toes pointing straight up, and you're facing torso right over that. We're going to take a nice forward fold right here, reaching for those toes. Use the strap if you need to. Lengthen as you breathe and exhale, fold. So besides physical flaws, we could go through a sense of education, our intellectual flaws, our chemical flaws, our reasoning flaws. There's so many ways that we could celebrate. It's starting to come up. So these are going to go rather quickly. So just stay along with me. Right leg is now going to lift up with that right heel down. Knee pointing up. Left hand holds the knee in. Right arm up. So right leg is in, right arm up. Right arm reaches on the inside for that left foot. Hug everything in here. Pull your bladder up. For those of you that have an open shoulder and you're working on wrap and bind, that right arm comes in front of the knee. Left arm comes back behind you, and if it's your lucky day, your arms and hands will meet. Tight squeeze, keep pulling up on the bladder. Last few breaths here. And slowly release. We're going to stay on that right leg. We're going to take that right foot now behind, toes pointing back behind you. You may also flex your foot or even open that knee for modification. Otherwise, both knees in the same direction, and we're folding forward to start. So in the mindfulness study, based on John Kabat-Zinn's book about mindfulness-based stress reduction, he has a list, a very small list, but an effective list, and I believe it is about embracing our flaws. And in a lot of cases, anxiety is that worry, that inability, or just an unmanaged way of embracing our flaws, sitting with them, sitting with the flaws without changing anything, without being activated or in any way triggered by our flaws. Coming up, staying right here, we're going to start to come back on the hands. Some yogis may go back onto the elbows or even down to your mat. I'm going to do some elbow work here. Just be sure that this knee is not lifting up. You don't need to go all the way down. It's just an extra in that quadricep area of the leg here. On your elbows, drop the head back. Open the jaw, let your eyes relax with gravity. We've got one last one right here. Stay right where you are with that left leg still behind you, and we're going to lift the left leg up. So this is crane pose. It's not for everyone, so don't feel that you have to go into this. It's just holding for the next 5 breaths. Left leg is lifted up. lower out of the crane, leaning to the left to release that right foot. And let's get some windshield wipers going on there. Nice. If you are hanging out there with me, groovy, groovy. Let's catch that sequence on the other side. So now the left heel goes to the inside, about an inch or so from the groin, on the inner thigh. Right toes pointing straight up to the ceiling as you fold forward. Lengthen as you inhale, fold as you exhale. So the mindfulness techniques of beginner's mind. If you're in a beginner's mind, everything is new. There's no judgment to be had. So there's no such thing as flaws with a beginner's mind so much. It's not enough contrast to say that that is or that is not a flaw. Flaws have an origination, definitely based on observation and comparison. Let's start to slowly come up from there. Left knee comes up. The foot is grounded now 2 inches or so from the groin. Hugging in with the left knees, hug in with the right hand. The left arm reaches up and reaching on the inside for the left foot. The right arm, left arm reaches for the right foot. So everything is opposite. I'm hugging in my knee with my opposite hand. So at this point you can do a wrap and bind. You're going to go in front of the knee with that left hand and around in the back with the right foot. Releasing from there, left leg now will rotate, toes pointing back behind you, or a modification. Both knees in the same direction, toe pointing up, the right toes, and then folding forward to start. So beginner's mind, non-striving. Loving kindness, trusting yourself. Trusting maybe even in your flaws, knowing that you're the type of person that may be late for things or disorganized, reaching out, asking for help. Maybe that's another way of embracing flaws. Embrace your flaws by asking your imperfections to be softened with love or softened with help, softened with acceptance, which mindfulness is sitting with. We're going to start to come up. We're leaning back now, coming onto the elbows for another fish pose or Matsyendrasana. Lift and puff up your chest, drop your head back, releasing your jaw. Pressing into your elbows, we come back up and into the crane. So the right leg will lift straight up, crane pose. crane rolling over to the right to release the left. And a couple of windshield wipers here. So the next movement is back to the right foot, and we're going to bring the right foot so that the ankle and the foot is up into the hip crease right here. So you might think of it as a half lotus pose, and you can hold on to that. Some of you, if you have an open shoulder, you might be able to wrap your right arm around and find that right big toe. Okay, so you don't need to do that. It's not, obviously you don't have to do that, but part of the Ashtanga series. So we're gonna lift up and fold forward while that foot is into, and you may feel it pushing into your abdomen and into the hip pit. So you go where you're managing. Again, we're just holding for 5 breaths here. Releasing the toe, and we're going to take that right foot now, crossing it all the way over. And sometimes it's hard to see, so we're going to go like this. So we go into another form of the twist. So you can hug that right knee in, twisting over to the right. And I even like to pull my rib cage toward, as I hug in that knee, pulling out the flesh and bits there. Maybe your shoulder will come in front and that elbow will come in front. You can even open up into a mudra, or just simply opening up here. There's threading through. You can open into prayer. We'll keep it simple here. So twisting, looking all the way over that back shoulder. Back to center. Last part of the right knee, we take knee on top of knee, so half shoelace pose. And yes, you guessed it, we're going right over forward over that leg. Rising up, we'll switch legs, straightening out the right leg, getting a little bit of a break. And we begin with half lotus pose. Now the left foot comes up and over into the hip crease. Just rising that foot up as high as it will go. Does not get very far, that's okay. You want to feel that holding in, and then maybe your left hand can come back around and hold onto there. Otherwise, just keep that foot right where it is. Left foot, right toes pointing up and folding forward. Starting to come up and out. We're taking now, crisscrossing that foot all the way over. The foot is grounded on the outside. And now we'll hug in the left knee towards the left. Pull that rib cage along with you and twisting to look over that shoulder. Flush the belly. Releasing on an exhale, and we go into that half shoelace. So now the left knee is on top of the right knee, tucking that foot along the side, and we'll go all the way forward, fold. Crossing at your ankles to come over into all fours just for a little bit of a cat-cow, tilting and arching in the spine and the entire spine here. So neck into the pelvis. Bringing the toes together, sitting back on your heels with wide knees for child's pose to rest. Time here. I think in a lot of ways, we can agree that imperfections or flaws, simply excuses for our own limitations, that we can argue ourselves into limitations that don't exist. That to have a flaw means that somehow you are bound by obstacles, that there's no crossing over into this greener pasture, that there's no getting in the club or attending the pageant. You're unavailable in those circles of conversation or circles of educators or cultured people. If we've learned anything this last year about perceived flaw, what's a real flaw, what's not a real flaw. So loving yourself, the flaws, the habits, thoughts, and this imperfections. Then also deeply questioning and going inward about how those thoughts and agreements came to be. Are they true for you? Self-love, acceptance, practicing mindfulness as you witness your own flaws, you witness your bad behavior, you witness your health going in directions that are undesirable. You love yourself, watching as a compassionate observer, the hardest thing to do. Sometimes compassionately hold ourselves in a state of love for whatever imperfection or flaw we may be experiencing.
your child's pose and onto your elbows and onto the belly. We did quite a bit folding forward, so I would enjoy some tummy time with just a little bit into the elbows. Don't need to go any higher than that unless you feel you'd like to rise up more, bigger, greater cobras and seal poses. Just rocking your hips here a little bit. You can even swing your feet side to side to rock the pelvis a little easier, and gradually releasing any tension. And then Shavasana is going to be on your own version of Shavasana. I would encourage you perhaps going back into child's pose or even onto your side, but of course traditionally on your back or legs up the wall is completely acceptable, in a place where you feel that you're holding yourself. And I'm going to be on my side. And I would like to leave you with the Tonglen meditation, which is a loving kindness meditation. And this is going to be for yourself. So the Tonglen meditation is, may I be healthy, may I be happy, may I be safe, and may I live life with ease. So happiness, health, safety, and live with ease. So as you breathe in these qualities and concepts of well-being for yourself, take them in on the in-breath, and as you exhale, send out whatever sense of struggle with your imperfection or struggle with your flaws. Being kinder, more accepting. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, and may I live a life of ease, kindness, and well-being. accepting of our minds and our bodies where we are is true unconditional love. It takes practice. It's not something that a lot of us were born with or born into, born with those families. So it is our lifelong practice to love, and to start with ourselves is the appropriate place. So loving ourselves is how we love our neighbor, is a direct mirror of how we feel about ourselves, the manner in which we treat and have a relationship with our others in and around our lives. So starting to bring some movement, stretching your limbs, circling your wrists and your ankles a couple of times as you gather your knees into your body and make your way onto your side in a cross leg pose. I almost said crazy leg pose. In a crazy leg pose, ready for where we began at the crazy beginning with crazy legs and easy cross leg. And it's always a joy to explore the mind and the body in a yoga practice with all of you. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste.